Welcome to the Reinventing the Tattoo community. This is the Reinventing Drawing Group with Jason Leeser. It happens every Sunday at 1 o'clock. The Reinventing the Community, which you can find in either of the app stores or by going straight to community.reinventingthetattoo.com, is a place for artists and collectors to come and share, be inspired, and ultimately try to get a little bit better every day. Guy Aitchison has been an inspiring force for decades in helping tattooers, kind of get, like I said, just achieve their goals and get better. Okay, so while this is streaming out, and it looks like it is, then if you could let us know in the chat room where you're beaming in from, and if you are interested in joining us, if you're an artist, then in the community, and I will screen share right now, then you can find the link. We had put out the links. We had put out the links publicly via the YouTubes and Facebooks, but then all of a sudden spammers were going nuts. And if you are watching us on Facebook or a couple of the YouTube channels, the authoritative, the best source to find Reinventing the Tattoo community content like this would be on the new Reinventing the Tattoo YouTube channel. And all of the other channels will ultimately be funneling into there. So please give the Reinventing the Tattoo YouTube channel a follow as we start to phase out some of the other ones. So this is the community, and you will see the events link here. This is one of the main pillars of the Reinvented community, are live events just like this, and Guy really wants to have as many be participatory as possible. So we have drawing groups, we have art jams, as well as discussion panels and interviews and such. And you could always find the schedule here. As we were talking about, 1 o'clock Eastern, every Sunday, Jason does a drawing group. Every other Sunday night, we now have Tent Talk with Robert Shaw, where he interviews tattooers inside of Milton Zeiss's old tattoo tent. It's pretty awesome. I have a historical bent to the interviews. Every Monday morning at 9 o'clock, Monday morning Eastern, it's a wicked early West Coast. Some people are getting up in Oregon and California to beam in. Jason Meeks from the Fireside Tattoo Networks, check out his YouTube channel, leads a really awesome drawing group also. And it's first thing Monday morning. And it's a great way to kick off your morning. And if you're in Europe, it's really easy. You just kind of got the afternoon. At 7 o'clock, there's going to be a live paint jam with Renee Little from Oklahoma City. It's always a great warm-up to happen. It's a great event in and of itself. She gets to chat with different painters and whatnot in the early evening. But it's a perfect warm-up for the Reinventing the Tattoo subscriber exercises that are every Monday at 9 o'clock. Tuesdays at 10 o'clock, we have How to Build a Paul Rogers Style Prefab Tattoo Machine workshop with Tony Urbanic. It's out of control, like an hour and a half to 2 hours every week. Tony is hand filing alongside the students. He's got the ingredients list and all that, and it is never too late to get this series of webinars because you can watch all of the replays, and Tony is available to give you help no matter when you are watching this. Reinventingthetattoo.com/build a tattoo machine. It's $2.99 without parts. There's a package with parts. And again, it's 8 webinars. It's out of control, and they are still happening live, so it's not too late to catch some of the live ones. Every Thursday at noon is the Tattoo Collecting Podcast with Jordan Ruckus and Fawn Baker, where they interview amazing tattoo collectors. And wow, it's amazing. I keep saying this again and again, but every week when they send over the pictures of the collectors, it's a different style. They're all awesome. They're slamming pictures. And I believe one of the upcoming ones is going to be a bio collecting one. Anyways, there's so many amazing events. We have art jams that are happening in Italian the first Wednesday of the month. There is all sorts of amazing things going on. I'm going to show you how to get to the library because you may be watching this on a replay, and if you are, you could find a treasure trove of replays behind this library link and videos. And you will see that we have all sorts of replays from the Reinventing in-house series. This is an interview, Guy and Gunnar talking about art. We have Art Talk with Travis Louie and Guy. A couple tattoo machine panels and interviews. Guy interviewing Tommy Lee a couple months ago and Hana Mantra. It is so much fun. It is crazy. And again, we have all of the other shows. Let's Talk Tattoo with Mark Lascarbo. point being is we have a tremendous amount of content that is being beamed out regularly, and we hope that you will join us. Real quick, this content is here thanks to our sponsors. Inkjet Stencils, you can print out full back pieces in one stencil. It is out of control. Check out Andre Malcolm's YouTube channel videos. He's on the Reinventing community. He's got videos. But as you see here, the inkjet stencils setup is allowing them to print out full back pieces. And you can get a free set of stencils sample if you check out the folder here, free inkjet stencils. You're going to mail your email, inkjetstencils@gmail with your digital artwork. And yes, definitely let them know that you checked it out. We've got a lot of tattoo shops that seem to actually dig it and they convert over. Also would like to welcome our new sponsor, Loose Screw Tattoo. Jesse Smith is an amazing talent. He's a wicked cool tattooer and entrepreneur. He's been on TV a couple times. He is not just a one-trick pony. But let me read off his help wanted. He is looking for resident tattooers, and he's got a busy shop. So if you bring a great attitude, a willingness to learn, and really a great attitude and awesome tattoos, then you can have a serious career here. Okay, let me read this off. Loose Screw is looking for an artist who is motivated, diverse, and capable of doing both color and black and gray tattoos. All supplies are covered: health, dental, paid vacation, 401k options. Perfect for someone who's looking to build a solid foundation as an artist. Other keywords to sprinkle throughout our busy shop: good attitude and eager to learn. Oh, I already think I did that. So if you are interested in being a resident or even a guest at Loose Screw, right here on their homepage is Join Our Team. They've got a bit of an application here. Let them know that Reinventing the Tattoo, that you found out about the opportunity and Reinventing the Tattoo, and they will have an idea that you have the right attitude already, and they'll know that you heard about us here. So it feels like this is working and beaming out. I think there's also some other people beaming in. So I'm going to pass it off to Jason Leeser, our host for each of these Sundays, and he'll let us know a little bit about himself. And then, I'll be in the background making sure nothing goes wrong.
Awesome. Thanks, Gabe.
Absolutely. Cheers.
Yeah, thank you very much. So as some of you may know, if it's your first time tuning in, my name is Jason Leeser. I'm a tattoo artist outside of Philadelphia at the Inkwell Tattoo. It's located in Southampton, PA, right on Street Road if you're familiar with the area. If not, I don't expect you to know where that is. Welcome and thank you for joining us today. I just got done a webinar earlier with Russ Abbott, being hosted by Steph Bastian. Highly recommend you guys take a look at some of the other seminars going on. I'm just going to do a quick little plug here for this charity event that Steph's putting on. And let's see. Share screen. Let's do desktop one. Cool. So you guys should be seeing everything that I have up here. If you take a look, this is the Instagram page. You'll notice a whole bunch of different seminars going on with some really awesome guys like Adrian Dominic, Aaron Della Vendova. I mean, there's so many awesome. Joe Cap's doing one on airbrushing. There's a lot of really good stuff going on. Hannah Wolf's got one. Della Vico. This one was earlier today. It was really informative, really interesting. Nothing, no payment or anything like that goes through Steph. Everything goes straight to the World Food Bank, which helps feed people that might be struggling. Highly recommend you check it out for a very minimal donation. I think it's like 10 euros or 9 euros, something like that. You can actually access any one of the seminars that are in here. If anyone here likes to cook, they have some going on with different chefs. They have oil painting seminars and airbrushing and yoga for tattooers. Bill Canales is doing a dragon study. I'll probably be tuning in for that one. Japanese tattoo designs and watercolor. Tons of just absolutely awesome seminars, being led by some industry absolute like gurus in what they do. Highly recommend you guys take a look and check it out. Like I said, very minimal donations straight to the food bank. And, they'll email you a link to Zoom in so that you can ask questions live, participate, pick people's brains, say hi. Everyone will be able to see you and hear you. It's a really good time, and it's for a really great cause. Cool.
Yeah, I love everything that Steph Bastion's doing, and he's had some pretty amazing benefits at the London Tattoo Convention. So yeah, when you posted that over to me, I was like, "Oh, this is amazing!" That lineup is out of control, and to have it all go to charity is such a great thing. That guy's awesome.
Absolutely, absolutely. Let's see. So yeah, I believe I still have it. I will do this. In there we go. Bruno, welcome, man. Welcome. How's it going?
How's it going, man?
It's
Good
going pretty
morning,
well, man.
Gabe, Jason.
Yeah, so
Jason, can you put it on gallery mode because it's flopping
Yeah.
around like crazy on the camera here. It's also showing me, so if there's a way for you to hide non-video participants, there you go. That looks great.
Yeah. Hide non-video participants. There we go. Oh, Bruno, that's coming along great, man.
Thank you, man. Here, let me take this
Really
out
like what you did
second.
with that.
Yeah, I'm gonna be working on the bird right now. Just when I like how much contrast there is, between everything in the back and the bird because of how much white there currently is right now. Without any of the detailed shading. So I'm gonna try to keep it light, to just try to keep the same feel and keep the bird all the way in the front. Thinking about a little like drop shadow around here, maybe just to exaggerate the situation. Yeah, I like the one that you're working on too, man. It's coming out awesome.
Yeah, I'm just trying to get a different composition in there. I wanted to switch up the bird. I think I mentioned that on Monday Night Strong Group. I always kind of saw like maybe a little hummingbird in there, obviously exaggerated in size. But then I started playing around with placement, and I wanted to have like the hummingbird eating out of, the big speaker of the gramophone. And I was looking at that and I was playing around with just placement, location, size, and I wasn't happy with the composition. And I mean, as we all know, if the composition's not right or if it seems unbalanced or weighted incorrectly, it's just not going to look right.
Right.
So I wanted to, I was playing around with it, and I'm still playing around with size a little bit as far as like, okay, how big do I want to make this? Do I want to rotate it? Maybe have it up in an angle a little bit more. Maybe having it look like it's coming out of the gramophone. But do I really want to put more emphasis on that, or do I want to put more emphasis on the gramophone itself?
Right. There's always something has to be sacrificed a little bit, right?
Right.
Here and there.
You really have to use your priority aspects and say, okay, well, what do we really want to have be the major focal point here?
Right.
Because that's where obviously most of the detail is going to go, and that's where you want to make that the largest element in the whole piece, and you want to give that the highest amount of priority. Now, this exercise was more on perspective, so I think he's really looking more at, do things line up in perspective, and does everything look right? Do you have more of an oval shape? For the record, is the gramophone tilted and exaggerated at just the right angle to match the perspective of the rest of the box? Is everything sitting in the right type of perspective?
Exactly.
So that's kind of just what I was focusing on. And I think, and maybe he'll be jumping in a little bit later. Not sure, but I think he just mentioned something about just getting together like a line drawing for tonight's or tomorrow night's assignment. I'll probably go through and do a full value study anyway. But if he needs a line drawing, then I can whip that out really quickly. I'm really kind of interested to see what we're going to end up doing with the final project.
Mm-hmm.
It's got a lot of possibilities. And if it's anywhere near as difficult as the last one, it's going to be a challenge.
Right.
But that's kind of why we joined, right? To be challenged and to help push ourselves to get better.
Yeah, it really isn't until you start becoming uncomfortable, that you really like learn, and you start to take things to another level, like after getting through that, like, uncomfortable situation. Like, I was very much challenged by the last final test, for sure. I underestimated the time, that I would want to spend, but thanks to that, now I'm hungry to, like, I was motivated, I was motivated through that, like, through those results that I got, and it kind of has been motivating me through the classes that we've been taking to really, just kind of get myself through these, uncomfortable situations of every class, and see if I can do better than I did last time. It's like a fun challenge.
Right. Completely agree. I'm gonna start that because I don't think it was recording before. Gabe, real quick, if you're still listening in, I did hit the record button. Don't know if I needed to do that or not, but
yeah, it's definitely better to do it. We do have the copy that's going out too, so we should have a couple. We should still have redundant copies, but
okay. I just didn't know if that was something that needed to be done, and we
should probably get that to. There's an option that like automatically records.
Oh, okay.
We'll click that next time.
Well, cool, awesome. But yeah, I'm just kind of working on this, just still playing around a little bit with composition. I think the tulips that I have in the background might be a little bit too big, so I might go back through and redraw those at a little bit of a smaller size. I was really trying to get this gramophone to fill the space, but I still wanted to go with kind of an off-center perspective of it, so that way you could really see, the angle at which it was moving.
Right.
But get this, I found a little quick way to use Procreate and check the angles of perspective, and it's all built in. Like, you don't really need anything for it. What I did was I came over to Canvas, right?
Yeah.
And I went to Drawing Guide, and I clicked on Edit Drawing Guide, and this will kind of blow it up a little bit more for you. And they have a perspective option.
So does that have vanishing points in it?
So what you would do is you tap to create your vanishing point wherever you want, and then you can set that as far back or as far off to the side as you would like. So if I tap it there, and let me see if I can get a little bit closer and a little bit more zoomed in.
Nice.
Don't know how well you guys can see it. Maybe I'll make it a little bit darker so that you can see it. It creates these really great, very faint light, vanishing point lines. And if you drag this around, obviously the blue line is your horizon line. If you drag this around, you can use that to set the angle and the perspective of, whatever it is you're trying to draw. Now, the further off to the side you go, and it's kind of hard to see it with the amount of contrast that I have on here, but you'll notice these lines changing in their length and their angle to basically go through and say, okay, how far away do you want that horizon point, that vanishing point to be? So you can set these lines up. And as you can see, like it's kind of going through and adjusting everything. based on where do I want that absolute 0 point vanishing point to be at. You can adjust that to say, okay, if this lower ledge of this gramophone, if I want that in line with this, well, maybe I need to go back through and kind of tweak this corner over here a little bit. If you
Right.
tap the screen again, it creates a second vanishing point. And let's do that one. Well, just for contrast purposes, you'll now see a 2-line grid for multi-point vanishing points, right? And I think if you tap one more time, you might be able to get a third vanishing point in there.
Yeah, I would think so, because 3-point perspective is just such a,
Oh, it's a nightmare.
yeah. And plus, I mean, it's a required thing to be able to do a lot of the time. If you want to create a realistic outdoor architectural scene, you kind of have to have all three.
True. So you can really use these tools to integrate into it to really check your angles and see, okay, is everything moving in a parallel form? Is it, getting pushed back into the right angle? It's just something I kind of stumbled upon because I was like, wait a second. I remember some type of a vanishing point tool or a perspective guide built into this. Where was that? I did a little bit of hunting and looking around for it. And yeah, in my opinion, it's really kind of helpful just to check and make sure that everything's moving in the right direction.
Just out of curiosity, do you think there's any equivalent in Photoshop? Man, they have the perspective distortion, but that's not anything like this.
So I don't think that, they might have a way to do it using different guides and perspective guides, but I don't know that they have something where you can do multiple vanishing points and multiple lines of perspective. I'm not positive on that.
Yeah, oh, that's pretty sweet.
Yeah.
Yeah, man, that's a great little tool. Like you said, to, double check, make sure everything's on the right track.
Yeah, and the thing that I think is like one of the coolest real things that I found with it is, say you're going through and you're doing, you've got your 1 point vanishing point, right? Just to check those angles. You can always turn on assisted drawing, which, can be a very, very useful tool. I'll just take this.
It'll just snap everything directly to those lines.
It will only allow you to draw and sketch in that parallel area. It's because I'm on the wrong layer. Oops. Redo on new layer. Redo on new layer. So if you have the drawing assist on, every line that you draw will automatically snap to one of those perspective guides. So I can say, okay, here's where that angle is. Maybe I need to bring this down a little bit more. Here's where this one is. If that one's lined up correctly with that bottom edge, then maybe I need to go back through and rethink about, where is this corner? Where is that corner located? Is that going to be parallel, all going towards that vanishing point, which is way far off the canvas? And then, okay, so if I've got that there, the bottom needs to be lined up as well, because that all needs to be traveling in the same direction. It's just, it can be a useful tool. It's just another tool to add to the toolbox that you have,
Oh, well, I've just recently been getting, comfortable with using the drawing guides, and, just in general, they help you do things more, without as much guesswork. And, if you're trying to get any kind of geometric regularity into your design, why wing it, right? When you can, just have that adaptive grid laid out in front of you. And of course you can change the grid, edit those drawing guides as much as you want. So yeah, the perspective guide is just, taking that a step further.
Yeah, one other drawing guide that I found that was really helpful was actually the isometric grid, which was, it's been absolutely beautiful because you can blow it up and it's, perfect angles every time. And once again, if you use assisted drawing, you can just follow that. Takes a little bit of imagination to go through and say, okay, how do I want to draw this three-dimensional object? You know, what angles do I need to have in order to get it to be correct? But, you know, it, once again, it's an absolutely great tool to use.
Yeah, and that's not something that we got into when we were talking about perspective, because that's a whole nother game there, isometric perspective. And actually, I've been talking to Mike Cole about leading a group, and I think that would be perfect, because we were trying to figure out what would be the right subject for him to lead, and that would be it, isometric perspective.
Oh, absolutely. You can see it in every single one of his pieces.
He's the master at it.
Yeah. Yeah. I remember the first time I stumbled on to some of the work he was producing, and I was floored with just the intricacy and the complexity of what he was creating. You know, absolutely mind-blowing stuff.
Yeah, you know, let me find the collab that he and I are doing. I haven't really shown a lot of people this yet.
Yeah, I think you gave us a sneak peek. Oh, wow.
I might have, at one point, but yeah, there it is. A lot of glare on my Wacom.
Whoa.
Look at that, man. That's
killer.
Yeah, lots of fun.
Yeah, the contrast is so dope.
And, you know, even like the squishy organic stuff, I tried to think isometric when I was designing, right? Just so it would fit together with everything else. And it's just an interesting space to navigate around in, you know, because your farther away elements don't get any smaller necessarily, although we did fake it in a few places where we've got rings that get narrower as they go farther back, and other things that sort of give a sense of diminishing perspective, but in reality the math of it, you know, does not recede into the distance. People in my generation will remember a video game called Qbert, which that was all done in isometric perspective, and it was a fun gimmick, you know. Zaxxon, that was another one. It was a little earlier and a little clunkier. You were flying this spaceship through this like fortress, and you know, you never really knew if you had clipped your wing on something or not, because it was very sloppy use of the isometric perspective, but it was still, you know, it was attempting to do true 3D before we really had the computing power for it. Yeah, it was kind of interesting being around and when they were figuring out gaming and did not have the kind of processing power or storage that they have now. And so when I was programming games, I had, you know, 16 or 32K per period. That was the whole, you know, operating range I had to work with. That had to fit my game, not just the code for the game, but you know, operating room for the game, whatever kind of variables it needed to store and in order to be able to play. And then the operating system, which had to be wafer thin, you know, in order to even fit. So it was this act of extreme economy to do anything there. And so now it's just like, you've got all the room in the world. You can have 1,000 different explosion sequences that are all, you know, based on, you know, real videos of real explosions in high resolution, where, you know, back then it had to be something that could be packed down into you know, basically a gimmick. Everything had to be done with gimmicks because we didn't have the space to hold anything big. So yeah, the isometric perspective was a great depth gimmick.
You know, it's funny too, because I always remember looking at the packages for those games and just being blown away. I was like, man, I can't wait to play this game. And you get to play it, and it's nothing like the package wrapper is.
Right.
It was I was always super bummed out, man. I was like, come on, dude.
It would totally be like a whole airbrush painting of like, like Space Invaders would be these 3D things descending from space and perspective and everything. But that's what we had. Like,
oh man, I know. Dude, tell me about it. I mean, don't get me wrong. There's some nostalgia to that every once in a while you bust it back out. You know what I mean? But yeah, that's cool. I didn't know that you did that. That's awesome.
Yeah, if you search Guy Aitchison Galactic Gloop, you'll find a screenshot of one of my old 8-bit games.
Nice, dude. You know, I just started. I don't know if you know about the book, that Ready Player One book.
I have not. Yeah,
Yeah, I just
I've
started
not seen
reading
the
the
movie
second
either. Is that worth watching?
one. The movie's okay. I mean, it's flashy. It's some, you know, Steven Spielberg kind of stuff. It's not too bad for what it is as far as that value, but nothing. Of course, nothing like the book. The book's way better.
Who's
way
the
more
writer?
involved. What's his name? Let me see. Hold on one second. Crap! I can't believe I forgot his name. Let's see. It's Ernest Cline.
Yeah, I don't know if I'm familiar with him, but yeah, have to check that out.
Yeah.
I like
Yeah,
the
I mean, the thing about
concepts and the questions it raises, though. I really do. I think the whole storyline really brings to light the, the question of where are we going with this? Are we
Right.
really trying
Yeah,
to
absolutely.
gamify reality to that extent? And
Right.
if so, how much are people going to become invested in that?
Right. Yeah, they cover that quite a bit. I mean, it pretty much takes over the whole world. You know what I mean? Like everybody uses. It's almost like a Facebook thing, but a VR kind of version of it almost. You know what I mean? But way cooler than Facebook for sure.
Right. Yeah, well, I mean, the whole thing, if we keep going the direction we're going, the whole thing is designed around being as engaging and addictive as possible, right?
Yep.
Right now,
Yep.
it's just social media, but imagine if it were totally immersive like that.
Yeah.
It'd be hard to get away because our ordinary reality is just so blah, and people would love a place where they don't have to mask up and they can show themselves off and, in every way possible, your avatar could be as outlandish and expressive as you wanted it to be.
Yep. That's exactly what the
Your
the
tattoo
story's all about.
bodysuit could change every day.
Right. In the flash of a second. So what's everybody working on today?
Well, I'm still working on my exercise that I handed out last week, and I'm still like in the process of trying to narrow down what would be a good way to bring together all 6 of our depth lessons into one project, right? And when we did that with the elements, it was a really steep challenge, and I mean, we were, by and large, everyone was into it. Nobody complained. It was just surprisingly hard, right? I don't know if I want to make it surprisingly hard, but I wouldn't mind making it. It needs to be at least a one level more challenging than the individual exercises have been. So, yeah, that's kind of my job today. Other than it's daughter's 10th birthday, and so making pizza and all kinds of other stuff. So,
Awesome.
beyond that, we've got to figure out that exercise.
Very cool.
Something that's challenging without being impossible.
Looking forward to the challenge.
Yeah.
We were discussing that a little bit earlier. I did have a question for you, though. You mentioned this during Monday night's drawing group. Were you looking for, a fully rendered, kind of version of this assignment for tomorrow night? Or were you looking for, I think you mentioned something about having just like a nice line drawing of it?
The perspective thing, the line
Yeah.
drawing is the important part. Yeah, I'm doing a fully shaded drawing because I'm kind of tweaking my perspective as I'm, painting it. But yeah, line drawing only is just fine. Anything beyond that is, however you feel like taking it.
Very cool.
Let me go through and start working on that then.
That was a good question, man, because I was kind of wondering the same thing. Like I started working on.
I thought something had been mentioned about that, but I wasn't exactly positive. I mean, I usually tend to do a lot of value studies to begin with, just to build my forms and shapes. But
Yeah.
I should have been a little clearer about that, because I kind of said, yeah, either do that or that, and maybe I should have focused on everybody finishing a line drawing at bare minimum, having a clean line drawing as a separate layer. But I wouldn't want to have people show up and say, oh, nobody told me that. So maybe next time.
Way to go, Teach.
Well, let's see. So we'll have our final project, and then I don't know if we should do some slightly more chill things for our next round, or if you guys like the idea of having these series that build up, because we'll definitely get into another one of those. One thing I'm excited about next month is David Heskin. He is a visionary artist who is actually a former tattoo artist, and he's going to be leading 2 workshops, and I think he's going to be showing us the mana prima technique that he's been using. And if you look at his profile, it's a pretty trippy look. His mana prima is done by putting a thin layer of diluted paint on the canvas and using your hands and rags and things like that to manipulate it.
Ooh,
David Heskin, but he'll be leading 2 paint workshops next month. He's also just his stuff is off the hook, and he's also just a really super good dude. I really like David a lot, so he may actually start tattooing again. He's been alluding to that. It took like a 15-year break. Hard to stay away.
Certain artists going on, hiatus for a little while, but 15 years is a bit.
Yeah.
There are a couple people in the visionary art scene. Another one is Luke Brown, another former tattooer, and you can't necessarily see it in all of his paintings, but if you dig deep enough, you can see. There's some motifs that he picked up while tattooing for sure. But he's been just in full-time painting for a long time now, and so it's sort of drifted away from the tattoo look. And then David is the kind of artist who is always studying new methods and new mediums, and going to different teachers and saying, okay, teach me how to chisel lettering into stone, and trying to just get as broad of a base as possible, where eventually he'll be bringing the lessons from each of these into the different mediums that he's working with.
That's one of the coolest things ever, when you can kind of take some lessons from other mediums and apply it to the, nobody would have thought you could ever apply it to tattooing or painting, vice versa, or charcoal drawing and stuff like that. I think that's one of the neatest concepts about approaching art, is that you get to kind of create your own way of doing it,
Well, tattooing is especially great that way, because so much of what's happened in the last 10 or 15 years is this process of figuring out different ways to achieve every conceivable effect, right? You've got people that have specialized in, realism and other things. And so all these different effects are just getting to be so dazzling. It's kind of coming together, and
yeah,
it's still improving. That's the thing. It's still improving. So I'll just sit back and watch, try to be part of it.
Yep.
As possible.
Yep. Jump on or get left behind, man.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, it's I try not to get lost in social media just as a practice, but man, it is very rewarding to me. Every time I look at my feed of artists, it's so freaking inspiring and intimidating at the same time.
Right. Why didn't I think of that?
Yeah. Oh man, this guy's way too good. That's not fair.
Yeah.
He got
It was
cheat
always-
codes.
Up, down, down, left, right.
Yep.
It was always pretty neat, like going to the tattoo conventions, pre-COVID, and walking up to this dude's booth and seeing his portfolio and just flipping through it very slowly and going, man, how long you been tattooing? Oh, 3 or 4 years. You're like, what the fuck?
Yep,
Like,
exactly.
no.
Like, you kidding me? I quit.
Well, the reason
Yeah.
why is because we help make it easy for them, right?
Right.
So pat yourself on the back. Every
You.
generation has had to clear up a lot of misunderstandings and learn new things and fight different fights.
That's true, man. That's a positive way of looking at it.
We may have a fight pretty soon about pigments. I don't know how
Yeah.
many following that.
I've heard about that.
Yeah, I've been
Sure.
thinking about that for the past couple of years. I've been hearing a lot about the larger companies kind of trying to get into it.
Well, I mean, it's been a rumbling, you know, and this kind of regulation is happening in other parts of the world, and or threatening to. And it's, you know, we're talking about, you know, some of our favorite pigments, you know, disappearing from legal use, and having a much narrower palette to work with. And I think that we would adapt, and I think we would overcome it, but there would be a few years there of maybe feeling kind of impoverished. And, you know, being the person that I am, my first thought is, well, you know, let's see, you know, if everyone has to adapt to this, then it's not like any one of us is going to have a handicap that everyone else doesn't also have, right? So
Right.
let's just say that we all of a sudden had 60% of the color gamut that we used to have, all of us, right? That would, I would like to believe that, you know, maybe we'll learn some stuff. Maybe we'll learn how to make more of our limited palette, and maybe we'll make better, longer lasting tattoos. Perhaps it will be healthier. Although honestly, the thing that kind of gets me, and I know I'm not the only one, is there is no scientific study of tattooing that has gathered more information about tattooing than tattooing itself.
Right.
Not even close, not even within orders of magnitude, right? And because we do care about our reputations, and we do care about our clientele, and we do care about our industry, almost all of us, you know, we take client complaints seriously. We're like, what, the purple? You got a purple reaction? Come back in here. I want to take a look at it. Let's make sure it wasn't an infection. Let's figure this out. And if there's a problem, generally we'll let the manufacturer know. I know what I do, you know, I'm like, what the hell? I'm having green reactions, dude. Why am I getting green reactions? Have you had other customers who've complained about green reactions, you know? And so I think as a result, we have gathered more information about the safety of different pigments than, you know, anyone. So whatever.
No, I know what you mean, and I've started recently keeping track of like lot numbers as far as like the, you know, the ink bottle itself, the time that it came out and such like that, and definitely keeping track of people's you know, their information and stuff like that, like the waivers that they sign and everything like that, asking them beforehand if it's okay if we keep in touch. If there's anything new that I do use, like especially with new products, like a lot of the bandages and stuff like that are coming out now, you know what I mean? Like I always try to check those out, and I have a few clientele that they're willing to kind of get tattooed by me, and then we kind of run through the gambit of how did it work, you know what I mean? Can you keep track for me, like where you're at, what was the comfort level, was there any reactions and stuff like that? Like that's definitely something important that I think a lot of people kind of overlook, especially with how accessible a lot of this stuff is now too, you know what I mean? Yeah.
And I also can understand why some regulators out there might be sort of taken aback at the lack of regulation just in general. It's like, this is like a form of human consumption that's like above and beyond just eating, and there's no regulation. What the, you know, I could understand why that might, you know, to someone who is used to the idea that things like this should not be self-regulated, and that you definitely have to have, you know, experts involved and everything else, and do all the studies. And I mean, I can understand why someone might have that assumption. It just doesn't happen to be the way it really pans out in reality, because again, we have done the study. Nobody else has the amount of information that we have.
Like you said, you know, we're the tattoo artists are more of an expert than some of these people making these decisions, right?
Well, it's just like the states that ended up with the best tattoo legislation were the ones that consulted the people within the industry. And of course, not every state was able to mobilize like that, but many did, and were able to, you know, have meetings with state legislators and say, hey, just wanted to say we've come to you with some sample bills from a few other states that some of our colleagues have been working with, and it's been working out very well. And we want to show you why and tell you some of the pros and cons. And, you know, that the problem with a regulator outside of our industry, of course, is that they're thinking, well, what's the public safety? They're not thinking, what is the right place to push things in order to find the balance between public safety and not destroying this institution that you know, so many people love and make a living off of and feed their families with. You know, got different kinds of motivations there.
Right.
And we're you know, we're thinking of safety in terms of, we don't want our reputations or our shop's reputations damaged. And so we're extremely careful. And like in my case, new products, I'm very slow to try new products. I mean, I'll try a new machine, right? Like with a machine, the worst thing that can happen is maybe it'll heal a little light or whatever. But when it comes to new pigments, I'm not going to try them until a lot of my friends and colleagues have told me, yeah, you have to try this. You're missing out. I've been using it for 3 years now, and it's just the best thing. Other than that, I'm very slow to try new things because, you know, I want to make sure that each and every person I tattoo goes home with the best healed results possible, because I care about, you know, I want them to come back, right? And not come back saying, fix this.
My arm's falling off.
Right.
Yeah, I tend to do a lot of research and a lot of just digging into things before I ever even consider trying them. You know, I'll go through and I'll say, okay, cool. Let's take a new pigment, for example. Let's look at the ingredients. Are they properly listing anything? Like, what kind of certifications do they have? What kind of, regulations have they met? Are they, for many, many years, the EU has been, kind of the pinnacle as far as materials and safety data. Are they sending stuff out to get tested by independent labs? Are they EU certified? How extensive are they going with all of the testing that they're doing? Are they using the same stuff that is in this other really well-known pigment that everyone is currently using, maybe just in different quantities? What really separates them from everything else? How are they different than, this company? I'll do some homework into it, and I'll reach out to other people that I know that are industry professionals that know a lot more about this stuff than I do. And, I'll say, hey, what's the deal with this? What is this, something that could potentially be dangerous or harmful? And, I'll get some feedback from them and have them turn around. And sometimes they'll say, hey, it's almost identical to this that's being used. The difference is the quantities of each individual element.
And, well, and more importantly, when you're hearing from somebody else that's used it, whose work you respect, they'll give you a good reason why you should or shouldn't try it. Because if it's just the same as something you're already using,
why change?
Right. And for me, when it comes to pigments, I have a very strong, if it ain't broke kind of philosophy with that, more so than any of the other supplies in my entire toolkit. Other things, one thing I'm always real interested in trying and updating is just my workstation setup stuff. I'm wanting to shave time off of my setup. I want the setup to look nice. Lately, I've been trying to ease off on the amount of plastic I throw out with every session, but without making it dirtier in the process, so that's something I'm always interested in fine tuning, and that's not going to affect the person's healing.
No.
Unless you end up buying ink caps that are so bad that they're, leaching toxic plastics into the ink or whatever. And so, I'm not necessarily going to say, oh, here's this weird company in China that's selling this stuff. Okay, I'll try it out. Right. But it's like, oh yeah, Derb Morrison has got this in his catalog now. I'll definitely try this out. Exactly. So, there's always going to be, I don't know, I hate to say it, but I really do pay attention to recommendations from friends and colleagues. It's I'm not necessarily going to be the first person in the room to use it, but I don't need to be.
You know, one of the things I'm always experimenting with is the setup for the grips, like the comfort of your hand and the longevity of usage of your wrists and everything that. Like staying away from carpal tunnel kind of ideas and switching it up, and the idea of creating this pattern where you can mix up a different setup every few months or so for a few weeks at a time. You know what I mean, and feel comfortable with it. So that way your wrist doesn't get too comfortable or used to being in that same position all the fucking time.
Yeah. So, I think that is important. And that's one of the reasons why it's also not a bad idea to just occasionally rotate machines, even if you like the machine you're using.
Right. That's a good way to do it too. I didn't think about that.
I've gone back to, an hour or two in a 6-hour session. I've been doing a little bit of lining with a coil machine again. It's as light as I can make it. It's still very different, but it's been fun, and it also, I think, makes my hands appreciate the rotaries a little bit more. Another, talking about changing things up, my friend John Clue was having very serious back problems, and his massage therapist, just based on the asymmetry of his back pain, said, why don't you try moving your workstation to the left? So instead of reaching to the right and crunching everything between your shoulder blade and your spine, you're reaching across to your left and extending it. And then if that does seem to help, keep it that way for a month and then switch it back, and then alternate every month or so. Move your workstation, and not necessarily wait for a month, but if your back starts to tell you, okay, I should be stretching, not compressing, then you roll it over to the other side. Of course, if your workstation is bolted to the wall, that might be tricky.
Yeah, and that's what I was going to say too. Like with the advent of the batteries, the battery packs and everything like that, man, it's been pretty awesome to be able to just set up on a Mayo stand almost and kind of roll it around however you want to do it for that day, Yeah. And a lot of times I find myself kind of standing quite a bit now. Like I've raised the table up and set up a step stool for people to get up on the table. You know what I mean? I help them down and up and everything like that. But it's been pretty awesome to be able to stand and kind of like, tighten up your core muscles while you're working and stuff like that too. It's pretty beneficial.
There are some artists that can only work standing. Have you ever seen Phil Holt's table?
No, we were talking about that one of the other days, and we were talking about what it was that he did, because I'd always heard that his table was incredible.
Well, it's on these 4 arms that are attached to these motors that he just hits a pedal and it raises the entire table. So it'll go, maybe a 1.5 feet higher than a normal massage table, but he can just use a foot switch to raise and lower the client, because like if you're working in a chair, you can raise and lower your chair based on, let's say the person's arm is in an armrest and it's just a little low, you just, lower the chair a few inches and boom, you're in the right place. But if you're standing, you can't really do that.
Right.
Hey, Jay, you seeing what I'm doing?
Nice, man.
No, this is right up yours. I don't want to do this.
You don't want to do that?
I don't. No, he came in. I've done a lot on this guy. I didn't do this. I've done a lot on his lower legs and stuff. But he came in, and I haven't watched Dragon Ball Z in like 15 years. He's like, I want this on my neck. And I'm like, oh, shit. So
how much are you allowed to change it, though? That's the challenge.
Every single thing except the face.
Okay.
You wanted that?
I make a recommendation. Look up Greg Irons Dragons. Greg Irons was a really rad tattooer who died in 1986. And you might even recognize some of his early dragons, but he did some very simple, almost iconic dragons, sort of like this. But their flow is just so much better than that, that's sort of cartoony, his were just, they had a spirit to them that I think might work with what you're doing here.
I kind of wanted I told him I didn't want to go with cartoony. I wanted to go more realistic. And he said, that's fine, as long as I could make that face match the body. So I
Right,
told him
right.
that's not a problem. That's just, coloring, but yeah, so I was listening to you guys talk about the inks and stuff like that. I mean, I decided the only piece of quiet I can get is if I'm drawing at the shop now. I got a newborn. So.
Yeah. Well,
That'll
you know
do
what?
it.
It only gets worse. I got a 10-year-old, and she'll actually bust in here and literally climb the walls.
Well, I got a 9-year-old who keeps begging me to get a. I bought him a drawing pad, nothing major, but since he's been playing around with my iPad, I told him I'd give him this one because this is the old Gen 1. I've been using it forever, and I might just go with the Gen 4, and just give him this because he's been dying to use this. He loves pretty much all the the tools. I mean, he loves creating a bunch of cool little. Actually, he does really good with lighting. He likes lighting.
Nice. Well, I'll tell you what. We bought our daughter an iPad Pro for her 8th birthday, and it's one of the best things we ever did. No, she is not permitted to use it for games or movies. She's got a junky old little iPad for that stuff. And so she regards it as being a serious tool, and she uses it many hours a day sometimes, and produces some really remarkable things. And she quickly learned to, figure out ways to be able to do video and music and, stop motion animation. And yeah, it's been very empowering for her. It's also been a good lesson in taking care of your shit.
He was just playing around and he did that stuff.
Oh yeah, nice. Yeah.
I told him don't ever put a heart in there again. But
Yeah.
But yeah, he was playing around with it. I don't know.
Yeah, we see a lot of dragons and mythological fantasy creatures, but
Awesome.
she's the kind of kid that quickly starts branching off and making up her own mythological fantasy creatures and figuring out their histories and where they're from and what they eat and how much they weigh. So we're like, Dad, how much does a horse weigh? Like, not the biggest horse, but like a medium-sized horse. Like, well, let's look it up.
That's awesome.
Kind of like those clients. How much do a tattoo cost?
Yeah.
How long is a
much for
piece of string?
Yeah, right.
I always like doing that.
Bag of groceries.
Exactly.
Hey Jay, this is for you, bud. So I don't know if I told you the other night when you were live, you were tattooing. I said I was going out and I was cutting the cord.
Yep.
So I did go out and cut the cord, and I was telling Carson Hill that I'm actually gonna rip this thing apart, and I'm actually going to be testing this entire system. I'm gonna be putting it through its paces, along with the $40 one that I got. And I'd like to get a hold of Bishop and see if I can salvage one of theirs to do a comparison as to how, are these actually better? Is it beneficial to your machine to actually cut the cord? Are these actually harming your machine? Because I can tell you right now, between this battery pack that I've used for a week now and my CX2R, I can tell you right now, I can initially feel that this hits softer. Initially, when it hits the skin, there's like a give to it, where my other power supply is just steady. And that's not even a good power supply. I mean, there's so many better power supplies out there. Actually, I don't know, Jay, how long you've been tattooing. I know Guy's been tattooing. Shit, we probably are the two oldest tattoo artists on the thing. No, I'm not throwing you under.
33 years.
Yeah. I'm not quite there, but I'm not far behind. But we used to tattoo with an old big gray box.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You
And
know
that
what
was-
mine goes?
I don't know what mine was. I think mine said Texas Instruments or something on it. It was
Okay.
straight laboratory. But that thing went up to 9 amps and stayed at 9 amps. I was running coil machines at like 2.2 volts.
Whoa.
Yeah, that was like a Spalding power
the
unit I had. The
Technical or Spalding?
Yeah, the old Spalding was it was like this, it looked like a toolbox. It had these vents in the side, and it was made out of metal and had this curved top. And if you put your ear close to it, you would hear it go like a nasty, angry transformer.
Souls.
Well, I think a lot of that ends up coming down to, the technology and the way that things were being made at the time. You had a lot of people that were running rheostats through a whole shop, controlling the amperage and the current that was going to those individual machines. Then you started to notice a trend where people were trying to control the voltage more as opposed to the amperage and the current that was going through those coils. Each one's going to change the way that that machine performs. And it's going to change how easy it is and how specific you can get to regulate that power. I think the bigger question that you have to look at is, are the motors in these machines that are being run today with the battery packs, are they designed to run continuously, or are they more designed to run on an intermittent, irregular kind of interval? If you have a machine that's constantly revving up to start up, as some of the older Cheyenne machines used to have to do, is that going to be good for the motor in that machine? And if so, or if it's not good for it, how is that going to change the life expectancy of the motor in that machine?
Yeah, that's essentially what I was talking with Carson about. 'Cause I just picked up his machine a few weeks ago, and I really enjoy it. I really, really, really enjoy it. But I was telling him, because I was trying to reach out with Critical to see if they'd send me out one, because I mean, no one wants to spend $500 just to destroy something.
Right.
That was kind of my sole intention, is to actually test these, just to see if they're sufficient. I mean, like, well, I'm not gonna like motor drop or anything, but like this engine right here, a lot of these is really, really the impedance on these motors are just, they take a lot to actually get them to, but these things are so consistent. And then if you grab like a, I'm gonna keep dropping machines, but like any other machine, they don't, like any FK, like a Maxon, because these don't run Maxon motors. Every machine is designed to run differently, like you were saying. I'm just wondering if these are going to, if they're actually given the right amperage, because yes, the volts are fine, but what is the rolling power of it when it's hits a harder part of skin and the motor needs a little more punch? Because I've actually done it on my old power supply where I sat with a multimeter and I live streamed hitting it over fake skin, and you actually could watch like the amperage go up and down a little. The voltage will stay the same, but the amperage is drawing more off of the peak power. And that's when I found out that Critical sucks. I know they're probably going to watch it, but I really don't care. I mean, my CX2, which is supposedly runs at like peaks at like 2 point something, is steady at 1.4. That's the highest I can get it to go. Amps. So it's not even, at least maybe mine's defective. I don't know, but.
Well, so what I noticed a few years back, because I was running one of the Criticals for a very long time. I think I had it for, like 5 or 6 years before something started to go weird with it. What I started to notice, and I switched over, back when I was using coils, I switched from, cheap little $80 mobile, power supply that I bought through a very, very well-known, very reputable supplier. I knew what its limitations were. I knew what kind of a current output it could have, but it had a variable output current, so that as you were running a coil machine, it could draw more current through it without completely frying it, obviously. You could draw more current as it needed it to push, say, a bigger grouping that would offer you more resistance, etc. Well, I ended up picking up a single coil machine from a very well-known builder. Absolutely loved it, right? Ran great, with 1 or 2 little tweaks here or there. Something ended up happening where I think one of the wires to the capacitor broke. So took it back to him and said, hey, listen, just need you to, rewire this, throw a new cap on it, and we'll be cool. Well, they gave it back to me with, this ultra crazy huge capacitor, and went to the studio, plugged it into my inexpensive little reputable power supply, because it did work great, and it completely fried the power supply because it was pulling way too many amps. Hooked it up to my friend's critical just to find out that on average, that one coil machine that was a, very well known, very good machine was continuously pulling well over 1.5 amps worth of current. And it wasn't pulling that much before, so I had a feeling it was the capacitor on it, but it wasn't my machine. I'm not, I don't know how it was built, so I wasn't trying to mess with it. So I went through and ended up investing in a higher amperage and higher quality power supply. That was the critical that I ran for a while. I ended up having problems with that, did a lot of homework on it, and ended up actually picking up Mutsutoku, which has like a 5 amp or a 10 amp maximum current output.
No, it's 12 maximum amp.
Is it 12?
Yeah.
Sorry, I was a little bit off there.
It's
But
5
that thing has been a
consistent.
dream come true.
Yeah.
An incredible power supply.
So actually, I was telling, like, I was saying, I actually do want to compare that particular, because I think that's probably one of the most like well designed internally. Externally, it looks like honestly, it looks like one of my.
It's ugly as sin. You don't have to candy coat it. The thing's it looks like it's an industrial grade power box.
Yeah. But the internals are what matters, and I mean, it doesn't have all the fancy bells and whistles. I mean, it still has like the dialed, knobs to actually increase, but hey, I mean, that works. I don't need the cool stuff, but I just wanted to make sure that I am not investing, $800, $1,000 in each, machine that I'm testing, and essentially only getting 3 months, and then the motor's starting to weaken. So,
hey,
which is
sorry to interrupt. I actually have to cut out of here in a minute. Eric, are you cool giving me your email address publicly?
Yeah, that's fine, man.
All right, I'm about to send you 3 sheets of Greg Irons Dragon Flash.
Nice.
And hopefully it'll make your project more enjoyable. Try to embrace it, because it's a neck tattoo. You can still knock it out of the park. Anyway, what's that address?
Can you see my screen? Here, I'm ready. All right, CI
TI
FOLK at Hotmail.
Okay. All right, and let me know how this goes.
Dude, I'm actually looking at some of his work right now, and it's actually pretty rad, dude.
Yeah, he's got a great flow in every line, and when I think about like having a nice hand to my drawings, and I mean, I think about Tim Biedron a lot too. He's one of those really quiet artists that, like, probably 90% of his followers are other artists, because he just doesn't, advertise himself. But people who know. But Irons is like that too. It's just the style to his lining is just, every inch of the design is beautiful. I have daughter birthday stuff that I have to do. So I'm going to go hop on that. It's been a pleasure hanging out with y'all. And I will see you all tomorrow night. Tonight at 8 p.m., I'm going to be joining Rob Shaw when he does his tent talk. And he's a history buff and a collector. He's collected a large number of really interesting artifacts, and he's got a number of really cool guests lined up. So that might be worth checking out. He's going to be doing that every 2 weeks, and I'll be in on that tonight. Otherwise, I'll see you all tomorrow.
Take it easy, man.
Thanks a lot for stopping by, man.
Sure, man. Thanks for hosting.
Anytime.
Very cool.
Yeah, Eric, I'm really interested to see what you come up with as far as what those motors are rated at, and how that might affect performance, and are they meant to be continually run, or are they meant to be interspersed?
when I was talking with Carson, Carson will tell me what motor. I think. I think he'd be more than willing to divulge what motor he's actually running. That way, I can actually compare it to what the actual the
Oh, I think we lost him.
Yep.
Skynet cut him off.
Yeah. Nah, Carson cut him off.
Yeah.
Carson was like, nope,
I ain't
not
giving you
going
no
into that
information.
now.
Yeah. Hell no.
Eric, if you can still hear us, we lost you, man. We can't hear you. I know we lost your video, but yeah, if you're still there, maybe try rejoining. In the meantime, I've got another topic of discussion for everyone. So some of you may have heard about the pending lawsuit with Kat Von D using references that were copyrighted and trademarked and using them without previous consent and all that stuff. For some of you guys out there that do more realism, Matt Jackson, you can probably comment in on this. Because I see you do a lot of really awesome, super fine line realism. Like, how do you guys think that might potentially impact, future projects? Do you think it's going to impact anything at all? Do you think it's going to be something to be concerned about moving forward?
Stop your music.
What are your thoughts? What are your opinions?
What? Oh.
I personally don't think it's going to do anything. To be honest, I hope it doesn't because I do a lot of realism as I'm doing a portrait of Tom Hardy right now.
So you don't foresee any kind of like substantial long-term impacts or?
I don't know.
anything
I mean,
about
I don't know. I guess I'm curious on what happens if they win that lawsuit or not. I don't know.
That was one of the things they brought up with this whole Mike Tyson and like the what was that? The Hangover movie? Yeah. Because there was an artist that drew the design, wasn't it? Or like that designed his tattoo or something like that. And
Yeah, and he tried to sue the studio for copyright infringement because he had filed a copyright for that specific design on that specific client.
right.
This is a little bit of a different situation
Okay.
where a tattooer is actually taking a photograph or
Right.
a painting or another, work of fine art and then translating that into a tattoo,
Mhm.
which can have a very different impact on it because
Mhm.
you're taking someone who's almost doing it in a different medium. And because they're doing it in a different medium by hand, that could actually change the work of art itself.
Right.
So if that's going to have an impact on it, that could lead in one direction. Or you might be able to get someone that turns around that says, hey, you're using this intellectual property that I own.
Right.
You're not legally allowed to do that. Don't do it.
Mhm.
Should we have to ask for permission anytime we want to use a current photo of a work of fine art, say, a statue of Saint Michael or, something of that nature? Should we then
Right.
have to ask that individual sculptor or whoever owns the rights to that likeness if we can use that likeness for a tattoo?
Not only
Is
that,
gonna be
but
something.
yeah, that is questionable. But not only that, but it's like, does it boil down to the tattoo artist or the client itself? You know what I mean? Because it's not like you're telling this person to come in and get this tattoo. They come into you with what they want to get tattooed. Does that make sense?
It does. It does. I think what they're trying to do is put a lot more of the responsibility of that decision on the artist themselves.
Yeah, I could see that being the
Because
case.
ultimately, we're the one that can turn around and say, "Hey, I can't, put that on you because that would be copyright infringement."
Right.
That might be what you want, but I can't legally do that. That's
Yeah.
like you owning a CD and me coming to you saying, "Hey, can you make me a copy of that CD?"
Right.
You know, this is what I want. Can you give it to me?
Mhm.
You know, so at that point in time, that would then be your responsibility to turn around and say, hey, I can't duplicate this CD for you because it's copied or it's protected by copyright. You know, and
Right.
if they found out, they could sue me and I could lose a lot of money.
Mhm.
Maybe it's just the individual photographer, because apparently they've got kind of a reputation for going after people that, you know, reproduce their specific images, where other people may put them out on public domain for fair use, you know, which is a very big thing. And I think that's what Kat Von D's lawyers will be trying to say, is that, hey, this is fair use. We're not reproducing the actual photograph that you took for monetary value. We're reproducing it for a personal reason, for a personal individual that's not going to be mass producing it. They're not going to be reproducing it and
Right.
selling it for tons and tons of money. We're doing this on an individual basis for an individual client. Yes, we are taking money from the reproduction of this, but we're doing it in a different medium. And because we're doing it by hand, it can't be a 100% reproduction of what you have done.
Right.
There are
Because no
going to
matter
be
what,
slight variances.
yes, it's always an abstraction, isn't it? It's always like a form of abstraction because you didn't photocopy it. You actually produce it by hand, like you said. So there are variations for sure.
There will always be tiny little variations in everything. Even if you get, you know, someone like Steve Butcher or Nico Hurtado or Shane
Yeah.
O'Neill
Like
or Bob
super
Tyrell,
photorealistic. Right.
guys that are leading the field in being able to get that type of realism,
Right.
you know, cutting edge kind of stuff. But there's always tiny, minute little individual discrepancies between that and a photo.
Yeah. And that's either preferred or it just happens. Yeah.
Right. But no way can you produce it 100% accurately.
It,
agree.
it
You can
almost
get
shouldn't like apply.
99%.
It almost shouldn't even apply, right? Because it's not the same type of situation as actually selling the actual image.
Right.
Right. Exactly.
It's
You
never
know,
gonna
that is
be.
being used as a reference image to go based off of so that they can create something by hand.
Yeah. You're not making
know?
the I Love New York shirt and just reproducing it. You know what I mean?
Right.
And making
You're not, and you know what? Even off of that one tattoo, so I think she's being sued for $150,000 plus legal fees.
Those jerks.
Yeah, right. It's like I can guarantee you she didn't make $150,000 off of doing that one. Although she is Kat Von D, so maybe she did.
Who knows, right? But still, the fact remains the same. It seems like it could be kind of one of those things that affect the entirety. Like it'll change, you know, all of it. Like you said, dude. Like if they win, what happens then?
Right. Where do we go from there?
Right.
You know, are we going to have to search out the artist of this one person whose work ended up on Pinterest and try to hunt down who the original artist is to ask their permission for it?
Is it cool? Yeah. Is it cool?
Yeah. Hey, listen, you were the first one that did an infinity sign turning into birds.
Yeah, exactly.
I need to know if it's okay if I do that for a client.
Yeah.
I'm only charging them $30 for it, you know.
Right, right. He's a cousin of mine, but I still gotta, you know, make sure it's cool.
Right, right. You know, where's the limit to that at that point? You know, where does that end?
And that's why it's very doubtful that they're gonna win, because you know, how do you really draw the line? How do you measure those type of things?
Right.
Yep.
Well, I think that all ends up depending on what judge they end up having try the case.
Right.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
that
And
judge
then
might
how well
be a
they present
stickler
it.
for that.
Yeah.
You know, they might be a stickler and they might turn around and say, hey, listen, this was a copyrighted image. You know that because it's got a copyright watermark on it. You knew you should not have reproduced this and you did it anyway. There you go. You're at fault here.
Did it have?
There was no, from what I understand, it did have a watermark copyright on it.
Shit.
I could be wrong in that, but that's from what I understand.
Right.
So
it's interesting, man. That's a good topic to bring up, dude, because I mean, that's been kind of floating around in the background for a few years now. Like I said, with that whole hangover thing. And you know, how many times, I don't know about you guys, man, but when I used to do a lot of walk-ins, it was Nike symbols and Jordan symbols, dude. You know what I mean? Like, come on, dude.
That's what I was gonna say. So, like, if someone was to tattoo Mickey Mouse, per se, is that
Yeah.
the same problem?
Right.
Well, that's kind of why I wanted to bring this up, because it's like, where do we draw the line? Yes, Mickey
Hmm.
Mouse is a copyrighted image, and they are a trademark of the Disney Corporation. However, the Disney Corporation owns half the world. Do they really need the amount of money that we're going to charge for a Mickey Mouse tattoo?
I wonder if it'll end up being like some kind of yearly cost or some kind of monthly subscription, like you're allowed to do X amount of tattoos in this franchise or something like that. You know what I mean?
If that's the case, yo, I'm calling dibs on all Disney tattoos right now.
Yeah.
I'm putting that
exactly.
out there. I've got dibs on it. No one else can do Disney tattoos.
Unless we work at your shop.
True, because I'll have
Yeah.
I'll have like a studio license, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Anyone
Yeah.
that works with me can do Disney tattoos, right? But
Yeah.
no one else can.
I'm there, man.
You know, so it's, you know, that's kind of what I wanted to bring up. Like, where would we draw the line? Say you owned, you know, a really well-known photograph, or you created this super famous sculpture or painting that now everyone wants to get it done as a tattoo,
Right.
right? And you've made a little bit of money off of the sale of prints of it, but where would you be upset if someone took a photograph that you took, right? That you spent all of the time in getting just right, the right perfect lighting, the right setup, the right studio conditions, the whole nine, the right atmosphere, developing it by hand, really creating this one photograph to your ideal pinnacle of what this photograph needed to be. And then you decided to sell prints. You maybe sold 3 or 4 prints for, say, $150 a piece. Okay.
Right.
But now you have a tattooer that's turning around, that's doing that same photo as a tattoo, and they're making $4,000 off of it. You know, would you be upset with that? And if so, would you then decide to pursue legal action?
I've always tried to stay out of the court system, man, as much as possible. But I mean, I
Same
could
here,
see,
but
you know what I mean? Like, I agree with you. Like, I don't know, dude, it's hard. I mean, there's so many different quotes you can kind of pull back on where they say that, you know, how does it go? When somebody, I can't remember exactly how it goes, but if somebody copies your work, it's one of the highest forms of flattery or something like that, you know?
imitation is the most sincere form of flattery. I
There you
think
go. That's it. Perfectly. You got it. And, you know, so there's that whole saying where you're like, well, you know, at least I helped create this feel that they're going for, this image, this exact image, you know. I don't know. It's hard to say. I guess it's preferential, a personal preference at that point, you know.
Right. I mean, the way that I've always viewed it is that even if you were to do a corporate logo for someone, that's not mass production. You know, that's not going out there and slapping a Nike logo on a pair of, you know, blank shoes that you bought from somewhere and trying to sell those for a lot more money.
Right.
You know, you're not trying to do that on a mass produced corporate scale to earn a living off of the sale of that trademark or that copyright.
Right.
You know, you're doing that more for an individual personal, you know, reason. You know, whether I come in and ask you for a Nike logo, or if I ask you to reproduce, you know, this famous photo or this famous statue, or, you know, the Statue of Liberty, even.
Yeah.
You know, because that's technically a trademark.
This United States flag.
Exactly. That's a trademark.
Yeah.
There are international copyrights and trademarks out on the American flag. So does that mean that the United States government then could technically turn around and sue us every time we did an individual American flag tattoo?
Right.
You know,
that's crazy.
But then again, if they do that, could they turn around and say every person that sold a photo of an American flag, you also owe us money? You know?
Yeah.
So where do we draw the line in that? You know, because I use photo reference a lot.
Yeah. I mean, I think we all do at this point, right?
Yeah. You know, and some of it's like, oh, that's cool, screenshot. That's cool, screenshot.
Entirely.
You know, maybe it's not available for public distribution, but maybe it could lead us to be inspired to do something like that. Maybe we're using it more for inspirational purposes as opposed to reproduction purposes, which is what I primarily use most of my references for. But then again, I'm not a huge fan of doing realism just because I don't have the patience for it.
It's so funny.
It's hard.
Those people out there like Matt Jackson, who's currently doing realism, dude, I don't know how you do it, man.
Very, very tedious.
Yeah, I just don't have that kind of patience, dude. I don't. It's another level of patience I can't begin to imagine. I really can't.
I've just always enjoyed like really tedious art in general, even before tattooing.
Keep your powder
I don't
dry.
mind doing repetitive stuff. Like I'll do dragon scales and snake scales all day long. I have no problems with like that. To me is relaxing. But like the amount of focus that you have to have in the way that you view said image and then are able to reproduce specific tones and values, it's like it makes my mind hurt.
Yeah, my brain hurts a lot after I'm done.
Get tired.
Yeah.
Don't talk to me for about 30 minutes.
Yep. Well, I mean, that comes down to, the whole concept of mental fatigue over physical fatigue. You might have people out there that say, oh, well, I mean, you're sitting down, you're not really being super active all day long. Is that really that exhausting of an activity? And it's like, until you've been in our shoes and you've had to put 100% concentration into something, then you have no idea what we go through.
It's hard to imagine, if you haven't done it, like how exhausting it could be after many hours of tattooing. It's like a full workout, but it's hard for the person that isn't in that position to visualize that, because you don't even expect it, but yeah, it can be rough.
Not to change the subject, you guys have any tips for helping a tattooer sit through a tattoo?
Helping a tattooer sit through a tattoo?
Yeah.
Adderall.
Like executing it? Because I've got tips on that.
Just surviving getting tattooed. He's struggling. Not having a good time.
I mean, so
you gotta be
I
comfortable.
personally get tattooed, I go into sensory deprivation. I turn around, I throw in my headphones.
Yeah.
I take a few Advil before I get started. That really helps take the edge off. And I'll throw on classical music that's very, very monotone, very relaxing, no lyrics, nothing like that. Almost think like if you do a YouTube search for like meditation music, you can find 4-hour-long meditation songs, right? Throw in your headphones, crank that all the way up so you can't hear anything else. I'll cover my eyes or close my eyes and then just start focusing on your breathing and counting your breaths. And it'll put you into a meditative state, dude. It's nuts. If I'm doing a tattoo and I'm trying to sit through doing one, audiobooks, man, all day long, every day.
I love audiobooks, dude.
Right?
Yeah.
It gives your mind something else to focus on while you're working, because we've all done enough tattoos that it's second nature. It's that muscle memory, right?
Yep.
So we know that if we're going to do this line in this area, we know exactly how our hand needs to move. We know exactly, how much pressure to put on it. We don't even think. We know when to dip, like we know when to wipe. It becomes a subconscious routine. But our minds still need something to do and focus on. So I found that using audiobooks to help my mind relax while I'm working on a tattoo is a godsend.
Yeah. When I get a chance, I'll put on a movie in the background that I've already seen and that I enjoy.
Right. Yep.
And so it's ideal. Like it does keep my mind at ease. It just really does seem to work as far as like me going through a really long session, with like some movies in the background with, interesting, music in it, but that I've seen already, that I already know the dialogue, they distract me in a way that is very beneficial.
It's like
And,
you don't have to see it, and where they're talking about. You hear a certain cue of music and stuff, and you know exactly what scene it is, and you don't have to look at it at all.
Line by line, you can quote it without even thinking about it, and it just becomes routine.
Yeah.
And it becomes something that relaxes you while you're working. I totally agree. It's got to be something that you've already seen like a million times.
Jason, I think you and I were talking one day, and I was telling you about how like what I do is at my shop, I have a Bluetooth television, and I'll let the client kind of sync up to whatever they want to watch. Sometimes even, like they can even sign into their own, Netflix and stuff like that, and kind of catch up on their shows and everything like that. And I'll just stay busy tattooing, man. Listen to some music if they want to do that.
Mm-hmm.
Or we just watch the movie together. Like I lay them so they can see the TV, and I already know what's going on, and we'll just start dropping facts about like movie trivia and stuff like that. And it seems to kind of alleviate a lot of their tension and stuff like that too.
Yeah, right? Definitely.
Yeah.
As far as getting tattooed.
Oh yeah, go.
I agree. I totally agree with the sensory deprivation style that you're talking about. It's just a sort of deactivation, right? I mean, it's not always doable. It depends on the position. But if you have a chance to be laying down, at least me, I just kind of try to, basically my body's dead, my body's gone. I just totally deactivate my body. And that seems to be the best situation for me to get tattooed. And it really has like helped me deal with tattoos a lot better along the way. Distractions, right? Distractions are always great, any type of distraction, but that deactivation of the body, like if you get the chance, because you can't always, it depends on the position, but if you get the chance, it works so well.
Yeah.
You guys are talking about meditating, man. That's what meditation is, dude. You're like detaching yourself from that pain, and you're just kind of letting the moment happen and stuff, dude.
Exactly.
Yeah, I always tell people.
Jeff Gogway would say, you're surrendering to that point in time.
Surrendering.
Yeah, exactly, dude. And I tell the clients all the time, man, you got to like just breathe, dude. Let it happen as much as possible, and just imagine whatever part of your body is touching that bed. Just picture it like falling through the fucking bed. You know what I mean? Just relax, dude. Just let it go.
Yeah, just allow it to happen, because sometimes, a lot of the time, they're fighting it the whole time, but they don't even know.
Yep.
And and I like to remind them of that. Just allow it to happen. It's gonna hurt, but it's okay. Just let it be. And sometimes it works.
Yeah. Sometimes you gotta break out that bottle of chloroform. That usually helps.
Yeah.
Doesn't this smell like apricots? I think it smells like apricots.
That's what the last one said.
Oh.
But yeah, any kind of distraction, anything that gets them on their zone, right? Whether it's the movie in the studio or their own, you just kind of gotta like get a sense of where they want to take it, and you just let them go there and take it from there, right?
Yeah, I'm actually gonna pop off here and turn on the Jeff Gogway Surrender for him, and
it's helpful, man. And when I find a lot of times when I put that on for people, it's like, because it's not coming from me and it's coming from someone else that does a lot of stuff like that.
It
changes it for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I might hop back on here in a little bit.
Go for it, man. Go for it. Also, Advil. Take a few Advil. It helps take the edge off.
Yeah, for sure. He just took some vitamin B and stuff and sugar and stuff. So
cool.
Nice.
Go for it, man. Thanks for jumping in.
Yeah, for sure.
Good luck, guys. Take it easy.
Ricardo, that's coming on awesome, dude.
Oh, you like it, man? Thank you.
Hell yeah, dude. What are you planning on lining that with?
I don't know. I was kind of going back and forth between like an open shader, to be honest with you, a round shader to kind of like get that calligraphied kind of line, and playing around with like dissipating some of those points and the waves and everything. And I'd really want to go in and kind of make some of it a little more textured too, like not just that super smooth transition of waves. Like I want to get some of that smooth stuff in here, but I think I'm going to play it with some different like kind of out of focus areas, you know.
Take a look at we brought him up last Sunday. David or Phil Holt. Is it
Yeah,
Philip
Phil Holt,
or
yeah.
Philip David Holt?
Philip Holt, yeah.
Yeah. Take a look at his stuff, man. Seriously, anytime I'm doing waves like that, I always pull up some of the stuff that he's done, and it clicks. And there's something about staring at his waves and his wave forms. It's like it just snaps right into place, and I'm like, oh, all right, I got this.
Yeah.
I see what you did there.
You sneaky motherfucker.
It's like, I know your secrets now.
Yeah, no doubt, right? Yeah, so I think what I'm gonna do is I'm definitely gonna check his stuff out, and then the other thing I'm gonna do as well is like in some of these, you know, the ended area down here at the bottom, I'm definitely gonna do that shading that comes in those isobar kind of shapes. You know what I mean?
Right.
So that's a clean edge and a contour that hip area pretty nice and kind of curve around the stomach and everything. I'm really looking forward to that. And I think where normally you would have those isobars falling through the whole place, what I want to do is make this a little bit lighter that goes up and over the shoulder. So I'm going to kind of frame out the end of it with some cherry blossoms. You know, they'll be a little bit bigger in proportion compared to what the tree should be as far as like the tree and the flower proportions. But I think it'll be cool to play with some of that 2D kind of establishment where there's like some background and foreground kind of area. So the ones more towards the edge that make that undefined rounded area for the shoulder, I think will be like the darker ones. And then the lighter ones will be up more towards the front and the center. So
that's going to be tight, dude.
Yeah. Thank you. Yeah. I'm going to be starting this outline probably Wednesday. I gave her a rough concept the other day and she's like really into it, man. And she is excited about just letting me go for it. So I'm fucking.
You should live stream it.
I think I might, dude. I think I'll ask her and see how she feels about it, and maybe we'll put a little bit of it up there for sure. Because I know I'll get the stencil and stuff set up and kind of go from there, man. So it might be a little while till we get started tattooing, but yeah, I'll definitely see what she says about it.
That's gonna be sick, dude.
Thank you.
One little hack that I've picked up over the years is if you're going through and you're using a round shader, you can build up each line, right? But for some of those lines, from what I can see, they look a bit thick, like super, super thick.
Yeah.
Because of that, you may want to look at maybe using something like a 9 mag and just literally coloring the lines in as you go.
Yeah.
You can always tighten them up after the fact with like, you know, a smaller or medium round liner.
Yeah.
But I started doing that with all of the big, bold, in your face lines that I do. And it cuts your time down in a third.
Guy likes to do that with the 5 mags.
Yeah.
Both lines.
Yeah. I remember seeing that in the book a long time ago, dude. And it kind of blew my mind at that time. It's like, what the hell? All right. I got you.
Now, I know a guy that used to do all of his outlines with a 23 mag.
Wow.
I still don't understand how he did it.
I know, right?
But...
Tell me about it.
That's crazy.
That's a lot of like, that would seem like it's a precise angle that you're going at it with. You know what I mean? Like you're moving, you're setting that as far as the axis of being like 1 to 7 o'clock on the dial, and then moving forward with that same angle almost throughout the whole process. Because how the hell could you use a 20? What size? 20 what?
23 or something.
Dude,
that's like the hard way to do it, though.
Yeah, it does. It does.
Hey, he likes a challenge.
Yeah, but I mean, when you see the size of the lines that this guy used to do,
okay,
you're like, oh, I get it.
Right.
In fact, I'll pull it up. He's a good friend of mine from Scotland.
Okay.
His name is Mikkel Ostberg. And I'll share.
Nice.
There was a dude back, I think in the early 2000s, late 90s. He was doing a lot of Cubist stuff, like big Cubist stuff. I can't remember his name. Oh man, but I could see how that
like Bugs.
Was it Bugs? Yeah, dude. I think it was Bugs.
Yeah, his stuff is dope. He's still around, man. He's still
doing his thing.
Looking at some of the lines and the line weights in, you know, a piece like this.
Yeah. Super open.
Super huge, super open, super bold outlines. but calligraphizing every single line in it. And I remember watching him outline this at the Puerto Rico show,
Mm-hmm.
and I was blown away. I think it took him like 3 or 4 hours to outline the whole thing. And
Damn, that's crazy.
I was like, wait, what? How long did that take you? But
and with a mag too, huh?
For some of it, yeah.
Wow.
I'm not sure what size mag he used, but some of it's just insane.
Yeah, dude, that's crazy looking. Yeah, that style, that's like concrete right there, man. That's not going anywhere.
No, that is big and bold as hell.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I like the readability of it.
Yeah, super. You can see that thing from like the moon, dude.
Yep.
Yeah, seriously. I could, you know what? I'm pretty sure I could see that if they were standing at the beach in Scotland.
Yeah.
I could probably see that from Philadelphia.
They're exactly. You're like around the world and I can see that thing.
Right?
That's crazy.
Yeah, but and those lines are crisp.
Yeah, super crisp.
It's nuts.
Yeah.
He's just got a formula of how he does it that I can't contemplate. I can't comprehend it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, maybe that's a little trick you can add in.
Yeah, thanks, man. I appreciate that because I'm always looking out for some pointers and stuff like that. And let's give it a go, man. See what you think. So killer. That rules. Yeah, it's pretty cool. She has another little tattoo, but I did this one on her back a long time ago. This little Barbie doll about 3 or 4 years ago, I think. And she has gone through some pretty crazy stuff over 2020. So now she's like, let's just do it. Let's just do it. I've always been intrigued by the idea of larger tattoos and bigger portions of my body covered, but now it's like that point where let's just go for it, man. I'm like, yes, let's go. I'm ready.
Dude, that's awesome, man.
Hell yeah, that's exciting.
Yeah, dude, I'm gonna have a lot of fun with it, man. She's a pretty cool person too, so it's gonna be nice to kind of sit and talk about, just letting some people just communicate with you about their experiences and stuff is a great way to kind of get through some of that as well, like what you're talking about, trying to get through some of that pain. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So.
Yeah, I'd love to get together with you two, and maybe one day, like, I know I've got a buddy of mine up here. I might be able to kidnap him for a week or two, but I'd love to actually get together with like both of you guys one day and maybe work on like one big massive collaborative tattoo.
Oh man, that'd be awesome.
Yeah, man.
I think that would just be unbelievable.
I don't know. That would be amazing.
Come in.
I mean, my one friend, Mark, he's a pretty big dude. He's been talking about getting a nice big old back piece, like, big, full, like butt cheek and all back piece for a long time.
Awesome.
And he doesn't have anything there right now. So it's like, all right, well, I mean, we'll figure it out. The problem is he's, I think he's part Sasquatch.
So a lot of hair is going to go back into it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know if we would ever actually see the tattoo once it was done.
Oh,
yeah.
Yeah. It's like he's wearing a fur sweater all year long.
Man, dude, I feel sorry for that guy.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
So, I mean, we'll see what happens, but, I'll talk to him. I'll see if he's down for taking a road trip and getting tattooed, and, who knows, maybe I'll pop by and say hi to you guys one day.
Yeah, man.
Anytime,
locations. Be like, hey, you guys do those tattoos? I seen you online.
Yeah. How much are you guys' sideways 8s?
Yeah. I want like an 8, but like on its side, right?
Exactly.
Turning into birds.
Yeah. I've never done that before. Let's go for it, man.
Maybe we could do a collab on that. Just a big sideways 8.
Let's do it, dude.
That's the one.
Yeah. It's crazy. I've seen this tattoo done before, but I've never seen it by 3 dudes that did it blindfolded. So crazy.
One-handed too.
Yeah, no doubt. I thought he was right-handed. Nope, not today.
Yep. No, today's tattoo challenge, we all have to wear an eye patch, and we can only tattoo with our non-dominant hand.
There you go. I like it. Let's roll with it. Yeah, man, that'll be fun.
While using coil machines and only standing on our left foot.
Right?
Yeah, that would be interesting.
Let's do
Yeah,
it.
collabs are great, man. Because you know, you always get a really unique result. You know, like that could never be unless you know those same people get together and create together, right? So it's like an unexpected result every time, right?
Hmm.
But
Yeah,
I just speak from
Yeah.
what I've seen because I really haven't done that many collabs. But
me neither. Me
They're
neither.
a
So I'd be
lot more
excited.
tricky than a lot of people think. Um, Especially when you start to factor in like the size of the tattoo that you're doing and then what location people are working on. I did a collaborative peony hip tattoo on another tattooer based out of Jersey who was friends with my friend Karen. They used to work together. Long story short, she really liked this peony tattoo that I had drawn up, and we were working at the Baltimore show. She's like, "Yeah, I'd love to get that done," and I'm like, "Sweet, want to do it as a hip tattoo?" And she's like, "Yeah, when?" I'm like, "I don't know, maybe Sunday." She's like, "All right, I'm in." Cool.
Nice.
So my friend Karen and I sat down, and I kind of yelled at Karen, and I said, "Hey, what are you doing? You're not even set up. Like, aren't you helping me tattoo this on her?" And she's like, "Wait, what?"
Nice, dude.
I mean, and I'm like, "Yeah, go grab your stuff. Like, I'm not tattooing this alone." Not
It's
a
gonna take.
very large tattoo, maybe half the size of an iPad, right?
Yeah.
Not
Hmm.
very big. And we really had to be careful when we were stretching
mhm.
because if someone was in the middle of laying down a line
Oh
and
yeah,
you had just gotten done dipping and you were ready to start lining
Oh
and you started to
yeah,
stretch, then
dude. I
that
didn't even
skin
think
moves
about
as
that.
well.
yeah. Even if it's a
Okay.
big tattoo, man. Like I did a collab
Yep.
on a back on someone's back one time, and yeah, the when doing those lines, you know, when things really need to be still, like and like the wiping needs to be in synchronicity, because
Yeah.
for sure, that's
Yeah.
definitely an issue when doing lines mainly.
Yeah,
Okay.
I
I
mean, if
didn't
it's
even think
shading,
about that.
it's whatever. You know, it'll be quick either way, and you know,
Yeah, there could
shading
always be a
doesn't have to be
strategy to
quite
go
as
about the
precise.
lines too.
Yeah, you know, like usually when I've seen them done, and it's two people working on one person's back, you'll have one person start at the bottom in one area, and the other person start at the top in the other side. That way, as they're working through, you know, they're not really going to be super close to each other the whole time, so it allows for a little bit more flexibility. Um, you know, so I've seen that work really, really well over time.
Mm-hmm.
But you know, based on the size of the tattoo, like you should never go something. You should. To me, it's just really difficult to do a collaborative tattoo smaller than the size of a dinner plate. It's very difficult to do that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's you're better off if it's at least that size for sure. Everybody benefits
Yeah.
from that.
Maybe I could find a couple people that would be into that too, man. I know I have a lot of clients that are pretty adventurous and they're like, yeah, dude, let's just do some fun shit. You know what I mean? So, I mean, I'm sure I could find somebody for us. Like if we get together and we, you know, we've all figured out some time that works for everybody, I'm down. Like if we have to go to a, you know, a neutral kind of place or if we want to do it at each other's shop, I mean, y'all are more than welcome here to Normal, Illinois at any time you want to. So
Don't be
Nice,
surprised
man.
if I take a trip out there.
I'm down, dude. Just keep me
I'll have to
posted.
kidnap Bruno on the way, though.
Yeah,
I'll just throw him in a burlap sack and throw him in my trunk.
there you
Like,
go.
what's going on? Oh, geez. Oh, this is the collab. Oh, shit.
Yeah, yeah.
You didn't. You could
I
have just
should have at
asked me,
least grabbed a
man.
toothbrush. Anyone got some deodorant?
Shit.
Yep. I'm still in my
That'd be a
chonas and
blast,
everything.
man.
Yeah, it was cold in that trunk.
Sorry, I gave you a blanket.
Right.
Wait, no, that was that burlap sack I used. Sorry.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, that sounds like fun, dude. I'm
Yeah,
down.
I've got a ton of ideas I would love to do as a collab. In fact, so hopefully not too many people watch this episode because I'm going to be giving away some secret designs I've been working on for a while.
Oh shit.
Yeah.
Nice, dude.
So if anyone's watching, turn away, close your eyes. So like
Nice.
this is a back piece concept that I came up for like a female bodysuit,
Yeah.
right?
Damn.
Yeah.
Obviously
killer.
it's, just kind of like Photoshop together right now. I'd go through, do some rough sketching where I'd send it out to you guys and we'd all add our own little flair to it. Pick a section, do you want upper half, lower half, middle portion, kind of figure out what to do from there. That's one
Yeah.
concept that I had just like rolling around in my head. Different tigers. No one better steal this design, but this is
That's
my
killer.
requested grain with like some Art Nouveau swirls and stuff. So
Yeah.
that would be pretty cool and fun to do.
Let me ask you
Um,
something, man. First, those designs are amazing, man. Like badass. Like, dude, I love
thank you.
the scale of those elements and
Mm.
talk about readability, right? And the fit and everything, dope. And like, as far as like going about, getting clients to having clients find out that you would love to do pieces like this, that you have some designs that are ready. How will you go about, kind of sharing that? There's always that risk, right? Like that, someone could see it and be like, oh shit, let me just use this design and steal it, right?
No. Oh, so I keep going. I'll jump in once once you
No,
finish
I
up.
mean,
but
that's pretty much it, right? That's always in the back of your mind, like, fuck, I'm gonna post this and then somebody's gonna take it. And so
Right.
you try to make sure that you put like your stamp on it or whatever, but it's almost inevitable. If somebody's gonna want to do it, they're gonna do it. But just curious, as far as like, do you maybe like post it on like your story and let people know that you would love to do something like that? Or
Nope. Absolutely not. Most of the stuff that I have that I've been sitting on for a while, that I've been waiting for like the right clients to like even pitch the idea to, nothing like that ever gets posted online ever. Just because you're right, people will steal it. I've had people buy my prints and said, thanks, man, this is going to make for a really great back piece. And I'm like, wait, what?
Yeah.
It's like, you've got to be kidding me. Like you just bought a print and now you're going to go and get it tattooed by someone else.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
All right, whatever. But I mean, hey,
Okay.
I can't, they were in a different country. I can't exactly stop them from doing that. But what I did start doing, and I found this out a long time ago, and I've noticed a lot of other artists doing it, even though primarily we work on digital media, we work with Procreate or whatever drawing programs we're using, and it is all digital. What I've personally found is that to get people to get bigger tattoos, more elaborate tattoos, more unique designs that we really want to do, buy a cork board, print it out, tape it together, in color or black and gray, doesn't matter. They're going to tell you if they want color or black and gray or not. And seriously, just pin them up as ideas. Have full back piece layouts just like pinned up, maybe 2 pieces of paper wide and like 3 or 4 tall tops. You don't want them to be full to scale. And then just, put a piece of paper up there that says, hey, concepts I would really like to do. What do you think? Are you interested in getting a large scale tattoo? Are you not? Does it scare you? Like what's your idea? If people that are your regular clients that come in and see that, they're going to be blown away and they're going to say, hey, that's absolutely incredible. I had never thought about getting something that big, but I absolutely am in love with that. Maybe I do want to get a large scale tattoo. I was talking to my friend in Malaysia about the same thing. He's like, dude, how do I really start to push myself to do bigger stuff? Because, he's used to doing stuff that's like softball size. And he's phenomenal tattooer. And I hate to do this, but I'm actually going to plug him as well, just because his work is so awesome.
I mean, it's always good to get, different tattoo artists, to be able to look at and stuff like that. So thanks for the sharing, dude.
Hey, no problem, man. So as I said, he's out of I think it's Kuala Lumpur. Yeah. So you guys should be seeing him. Clement Zio is his Instagram handle,
Cool.
and he does a lot of like super clean neo-traditional Japanese inspired work. And he does a lot of like, realism and semi-realism. Definitely has a lot more of like a neo-traditional kind of feel to it.
Yeah.
But he diversifies a lot.
Mhm. A snake is crazy.
Right? Like
Yeah,
every
snake in
time
that ray.
I'm like, cool, what can I do with a snake? I'm like, let me pull up his stuff and see what I can see.
Yeah.
What shapes is he using? What kind of a flow is he using? And I was talking to him about, a lot of stuff you see is small, medium sized. I was just having the general overall discussion about, hey, why don't you start working large scale? And he's like, I don't even know how I could pitch that to a client. And I'm like, dude, just start hanging stuff up that's huge.
Mhm.
People will see it and get it. Within 2 weeks, he had 2 different people book full back piece tattoos with him.
Nice.
Just from printing out and hanging stuff up that was at a bigger scale. If you draw it, they will get it. Might
will
take a little
come.
while, but they will.
Right.
So I've been using that philosophy for years, and it works time after time after time.
Got it.
Even if it's
It makes
stuff like
sense.
sleeves or individual small little like half sleeve designs. And I'm saying small, but we all know a half sleeve isn't usually that small.
Oh man, I thought that only took like a few hours, dude. What are you talking about?
Well, I mean, on Ink Master it does.
Right. Why is it
But,
taking so long?
Shit, they can do a half sleeve in like 30 minutes. What are you talking about?
Yeah.
I saw it on TV.
Yeah.
So, but that's what I've been doing. Like a lot of stuff like this, the Scorpion from a few weeks ago, man. I'm going to print that off and pin that up and see if anyone wants to get that done.
Yeah.
And it's the pumpkins. I already had someone inquire about that. I just print them off, pin them up, and people are like, oh my God, that's amazing. I want to get that done as a tattoo. It's like, well, it's available. Let's put you in the books. Let's set it up. Let's do it. And then I also have a lot of like longtime friends of mine that, are like, dude, I don't do something like, here's an area, tattoo me. Okay.
Right.
And they're usually down for whatever, man. I mean, they don't really care. They're like, yeah, as long as it's sick, like do whatever you want. It's like, all right, well,
Like you just made my day, man.
Yeah. Then the next question is, how elaborate do you want it to be? And do you have any kind of a budget constraint? Because if you do, you probably don't want me to come up with whatever I want.
Right.
It's going to be very large, very elaborate, and very expensive.
Yeah. I usually tell people like I'm really greedy when it comes to space, man. So you have to fucking pull the reins whenever you think that's too much, dude. I gotcha. That's cool the way that you do it though. I mean, it makes sense to like kind of, it's the same thing for, it's the reason that, you get a lot of people coming in with pictures from Pinterest and Instagram and like off Google and everything like that. They bring in the tattoo because they've seen it and they're very interested in that style or that image or that depiction of the image. You know what I mean? So it makes sense to have it in your studio for them, and you've created it yourself and you want to do it. So they get the idea that, oh, that can be done. Really? Killer.
It's absolutely insane. I was talking to one of I like to call him a tatter tot. Just he's still pretty new in the industry and still getting his feet wet. I'll talk to him about stuff and I'm like, well, cool, you have all this stuff you really want to do. Like, where is it? He's like, oh, it's on my iPad. I'm like, well, how am I supposed to know that you have cool stuff that you want to tattoo when it's on your iPad and I'm not seeing it?
Right.
If I don't know you've drawn it out and it's super rad, how am I going to know I even want it? He's like, well, I was thinking about throwing it up on like Instagram. I'm like, great. So like 9 other people can do it as a tattoo before you even get the chance to. That's a great idea. Shoot yourself, man. If that's the way you want to work, go for it. But, I would rather do the tattoo than have someone else do it.
Yeah.
So he's like, yeah, you're right. And I'm like, and best way to do it, in my opinion, break out some colored pencils, man, print out the line work and do a value study.
Yep.
Pin that up so that you can tell it's drawn by hand, and you can tell that it was rendered by hand, that you have those skills available to you, and people will see that, their jaw's going to hit the floor, and next thing you know, you're booking 3 months out.
Yep. Well, not only that, but they get the feel for the kind of creative things that you got going on inside your head. You know what I mean? Like,
Yep.
oh, this dude, you know, it's like with the oil paintings, man. I have a little bit of space in my shop where I have an easel set up and I keep my oil paintings that I'm working on, you know, in plain view. And it's great for people to come in and go, oh, I didn't even know that you painted. It's like, yeah, dude, I do this. This is a nonstop thing, man. It's not just tattooing. Like, I love tattooing, but it's art, dude. You know, it's just all forms of it.
Right.
And I can't tell you how many people have just been like blown away by the simple fact that you do more than just tattoo, you know, and you're like, yeah, dude, you know, so you get to, and then if anything, you get the opportunity to kind of like talk to them about what you're into, you know, and give them the idea of like, you know, we might be a little bit better connected than what you gave me credit for, man. And we can do all kinds of fun stuff for you.
Yeah, I always use like my little area at the studio, and I've
Mhm.
got, you know, I try to keep it almost completely original artwork that I've done. I've got a few things hanging up just to like fill some gaps and spaces for right now until
Mhm.
I can finish up a couple of things and, you know, put those up there. But, you know, it's like people look around and they're like, wow, like you did all of this? And it's like, well, you know, most of it, yeah. And I'll point out the stuff I specifically did not do so that they don't get confused.
Mm. That's when they
And
tell
then,
you, oh, so you're a real artist, huh?
Exactly.
yeah, it's like,
Yep.
no, I don't know what a
Exactly.
real artist is like. I mean, you know, from what I've heard, those guys are broke, and I'm not broke. So,
Yeah. I ain't no starving artist.
right.
It's
Like,
funny
don't
because
get
I
me
would
wrong,
think
I'm
that
not rolling around in a Benz, but you know, I'm not exactly going hungry either.
Right. What were you saying, Bruno?
no, it's always interesting when when someone says something like that, because I would have thought that seeing art done on skin would be even more impressive, right, than seeing it on a painting. More of an act of an artist, right, than a
Yeah.
painting itself. But they a lot of people don't necessarily see it that way.
Mm-hmm.
It's not like my dad, like my dad, I'll show him my tattoos, and he'll be like, oh, nice, okay, yeah, and they're and I'm really proud of him. But then he sees a painting and he's like, oh wow, so you're a real artist, huh?
Yeah, exactly.
Yep.
That's exactly it right there. Oh, you're a real artist. What do you mean, man? Didn't you see those tattoos I did, dude?
Yeah, it's like, and not only did I do that, but I did that and I don't have the ability to erase. I
Yeah.
can't paint over it. Like, that is there. I get one shot.
Yep.
Yep. Yeah, man, it's awesome. But yeah, guys, I'm actually gonna head out. It was
Yeah, I think,
great chatting.
why don't you give us a little sign off there?
Yeah, man.
Yeah, how can people get a hold of you? Tell us a little bit about you.
Yeah, my name is Bruno Salvatierra. I'm in Miami and also in Fort Lauderdale at Stefano's Tattoo Studio in Fort Lauderdale. And you can reach me on Instagram at Prismas_art, PRISMAS_art. And yeah, I'll be happy to answer any questions or anything at all.
Killer.
Awesome. Ricardo, how can people get a hold of you?
My name is Ricardo Sturdivant. I tattoo in Normal, Illinois. I have my own studio. It's called Candor Tattoo. And you can reach me on Instagram at Candor Tattoo. It's CANDOR Tattoo. Yeah, man, I'm always interested in doing some bigger pieces and everything, and original artwork and everything. So if you ever want to get together, chit chat, talk about the progression of your art, anything, man, anything. Let's just get together and see what we can do.
Sounds like a plan, man. For those of you that might have tuned in a little bit late, my name is Jason Leeser. I work at a studio called the Inkwell Tattoo in Southampton, Pennsylvania. I host the Sunday afternoon drawing sessions for Reinventing the Tattoo. It's a great place to come to learn, hang out, talk shop, pick each other's minds, and maybe get some help or advice if you're struggling around with something. Everyone's always welcome. Feel free to communicate with us on the app too. Send us a message, connect with us somehow. We're all willing to share information and help each other out and, just progress as a whole community. So thank you guys for tuning in, and take care and have a wonderful day.
Take it easy.
All right.
Have
Take
a
care.
great
Guys.
one, guys.
Peace.